The Springboks have a massive team selection crisis ahead of their test match against Wales on the 22nd of June. Of the 23 players that played in the World Cup final, only 10 are available for selection. Guys, before we get into this video, I just want to say a massive thanks. We've hit 10,000 subscribers and we couldn't have done that without you. But there's still about 91% of you who watch this channel on a regular basis that are not subscribed. Our goal is to try and hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So we need you to subscribe. Let's get into the video. Now, your first question might be why? Why do the Springboks face a team selection crisis? Well, this test match against Wales is on the 22nd of June, which falls outside of the international break, which means that players based in the UK, France and Ireland are unavailable for selection because their clubs don't have to let them go and do international duty when a game falls outside the international break. Adding on to this, on the 22nd of June, the exact same day that the Springboks face Wales, is the URC final. Now, any teams that are involved in the semi-finals, maybe even quarterfinals, but definitely the final of the URC won't be available for selection. Rassie Erasmus will not be able to select anyone, most likely for now from the Bulls or from the Stormers. The Bulls currently sit 4th in the URC. The Stormers currently sit 6th. There's still 4 game weeks left, and I do expect both the Bulls and the Stormers to make quite a deep run in the URC, at least make it to the semi-finals, but they probably will partake in quarterfinals, and we just don't know yet if those teams involved in the quarterfinals will be able to play against Wales on the 22nd of June. So Rassie Erasmus can't pick any players from the UK, France, Ireland, probably the Bulls and the Stormers, and potentially even the Lions. Now, the Lions do sit 11th in the URC, and it's probably unlikely that they're going to make it to the semi-finals. But worst case scenario, if they do, then Rassie Erasmus can't pick any players from the Lions. But something tells me that the Lions aren't going to make it to the semi-finals, which then leaves Rassie Erasmus with the options to pick from players based in Japan, because their season ends a couple of weeks before the URC, so they will be available to play. So Japan-based players, then players from the Sharks will be eligible to play, as well as those players from the Lions. So those are the only 3 sort of areas that Rassie Erasmus can pick from. Yes, obviously he can pick from the Pumas and Cheetahs and Griquas, but something tells me that's not going to happen. You just have to look at the people that made the alignment camp squad, and that'll give you a little bit of an idea of who I think will be playing this game against Wales. So just to give you a little bit more context on who Rassie can pick and who Rassie can't pick, we're going to go through the starting 23 for the Springboks that played in the Rugby World Cup final, and you're going to see who can play and who can't play. So starting off, Steven Kitshoff, he plays for Ulster. He is injured at the moment, so he probably won't be ready to play against Wales. Bongi will be able to play because he plays for the Sharks. Frans Malherbe won't be able to play because he plays for the Stormers. Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostert will both be available. Eben obviously playing for the Sharks, Franco Mostert playing over in Japan. Siya Kolisi probably won't be available, plays for Racing 92, just got an injury. Pieter-Steph du Toit will be available. Dwayne Vermeulen retired. Faf de Klerk plays over in Japan, so he will be available. Pollard will not be available because he plays his rugby for the Leicester Tigers in England. Cheslin, Delende and Jesse Kriel will all be available because they play in Japan. Kurtley Arendse and Damian Willemse will not be available because they play for the Bulls and the Stormers. And then you got to look at Dion Fourie, won't be available. Oxenchur plays for the Sharks, he'll be available. Trevor plays for Racing 92, he will not be available. Jean Klein won't be available. Archie Snyman won't be available. Kwagga Smith will be available. Jasper Visser won't, and Willie Leroux won't. So there's 10 players on that list that can play. There's 13 players that can't play, which then begs the question, what positions do the Springboks need to fill, and who can fill those positions? Well, starting off with Steven Kitshoff, he's going to be injured and probably won't be able already in time to play. So then Oxenchur steps up off the bench and into the starting lineup, but then that leaves a spot open on the bench for a youngster. The other side, the prop, Frans Malherbe probably won't be available because he plays for the Stormers. His replacement, Trevin Yokane, won't be able to play. So there's 2 spots that need to be filled. 2 young props that can come in and potentially make a name for themselves. Both locks can play. 6, Sia can't play. 8, Dwayne retired and Jasper Visser can't play. So now you're going to start looking at the likes of Cameron Hanekom, Mpelo Gumede. They can't play either because they play for the Bulls. You can't play Ivan Ruiz. You can't play anyone from the Stormers. So who then plays 6? Who plays 8? Who's coming off the bench? Now, I do think Kwagga Smith will probably start in one of those positions, but then you still have to fill in his position on the bench. At 10, the video we made yesterday, Pollard and Manie Lebok can't play. So then who can fill in for them? Maybe Nahomba from the Lions. But then does Morne van den Berg play 9 and you check that combination? Does Faf go to the bench? Does Mizuku play from the Sharks, who's been having an incredible season? Do they put Kerwin Bosch in there? There's a lot of scenarios that Rassie's going to have to figure out. 14, Curtly Arendse can't play. I think that's a little bit of an easier fix just because we have Mpimpi at the Sharks. We have a couple of good Lions wings as well. And then 15, also a very troublesome position. Willemse plays for the Stormers. Willie Leroux plays for the Bulls. Kanan Moody plays for the Bulls. Who's going to play 15? I would guess probably Q and Horn out at the Lions. And then you've got the whole bench option because only Ox and Quagga are eligible to play in this test match that sit on the bench, but they're probably going to be starting. So now you have 8 people on the bench that you need to replace and need to start. Now, there's a couple of positives and negatives that are going to come from this. One, Rassie Erasmus will probably look to play a very, very young, very unexperienced side against this Wales side. It's lucky that Wales aren't their best at the moment. They're probably one of the worst first tier nations. So it does give Rassie Erasmus a little bit of leeway to play, see what combinations work. But the deeper we dive into this test match, the deeper we dive into the team selection, the more trouble you can see that the Springbok team selectors are going to have. Because the first choice can't play. Let's take 15, for example, Damian Willemse. Okay, who would his substitute have been? Probably Willie Leroux. Well, Willie Leroux also can't play. Can we play Kanan Moody? No, we can't. He plays for the Bulls. So you end up going down to maybe a 4th or even 5th string position to field a Springbok team against Wales in the opening test match in 2024. Now, I do think there's going to be mixed opinions on this. A lot of people are going to say, why have we organized the test match on the 22nd of June when the Springboks cannot play? When the Springboks that won us the World Cup, the team we're looking to develop to go win us the 2027 World Cup, why would we organize a test match when they can't play? Well, like I said, I do think it gives us a very unique opportunity to test out a lot of players, a lot of youngsters in that alignment camp squad. I did see a couple of comments on yesterday's video about Sasha Mgumazulu starting, but he plays for the Stormers. He's also not going to be able to get away from the Stormers. He's going to be needed there to play in the URC semi-final or final or quarter-final. So we're going to have to go really, really deep into our pockets in terms of depth and trying to fill out all of these positions. It's going to be very, very interesting. I wouldn't want to be Rassie Erasmus, but it does give us a unique opportunity to test a couple of combinations. As always, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Who should play? Who should start? Who should be on the bench? If you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave this video a like. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.